Yes, it is really him. Sean Sharif, RJ Choppy, and our Cowboys insider Bobby Belt on your home of the Cowboys and your World Series champion, Texas Rangers. This is the official Texas Rangers parade station, and on the line right now is a guy that RJ Choppy has coaxed out of bed or wherever he spent last night. He is the legend, Randy Galloway. Good morning, sir. How did Choppy get you to agree to this, Randy?
Because he is the Chop, and I told him I don't get up at 8 o'clock in the morning for anybody, but I would do it. I would do it for the Chop. No, glad to be here, guys. Glad to be here.
What time are you getting up these days?
I try to just when you want to. Usually around 9:30.
Okay.
But it may, depending on what happened the night before, it may go. It may go a little bit later, but hey, retirement is good. You know, I do nothing, and I'm damn good at doing nothing. So, and I was, of course, like everybody else. So I've been for the last month. I've been caught up in this wild and weird Ranger run to a, believe it or not, a world championship. So, I didn't think I'd see that. Ever.
You have a unique perspective. You saw a lot of bad baseball. You saw a lot of baseball. You were like one of the, a beat writer. I don't think many people know that you were on the Ranger beat back, years and years and years back in the 70s. Like, take us through your range of emotions watching this run.
Yeah, well, I was an original Rangers beat writer, starting when the team got here, of course, in 72. And I did that 10 years for the Morning News, and then they made me a columnist. And in fact, the guy that then replaced me was Tim Kurkjian. He was just a youngster, about 23, 24 years old as the Ranger beat writer. And Kurkjian's gone on to fame and fortune on ESPN, and he's in of course, he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. So I did have, there's one little note. But those days were mostly really bad baseball. But it was it was a time. I'd been a sports writer. Hell, I was a sports writer for 50 years before I retired. But I tell you what, you get on the baseball beat, and particularly in those days, 70s, 80s, things have changed now a lot. But I mean, it taught you to become a newspaper man. It was fun and it was tough, and you kind of had to learn protocol around the clubhouse. But I ran into some great characters and guys that, frankly, are still friends of mine. But that was a great time for me back in those original years of the Rangers, and on and off over the doing a column. I was still doing a lot of Ranger stuff, but. I keep going back to here they win a World Series, and it just goes back to the Grateful Dead, and what a long, strange trip it's been, because it has been a long one and a strange one, and for it to get here to this point, I'm still kind of shell shocked over that. A world championship, and as you guys just talked about, a damn parade. How about a parade, huh?
Are you going to the parade today?
I don't do parades, but I will. I will. I'll probably watch it on TV though.
Okay.
So I'm kind of interested in how they're going to put 300,000 people or 200,000, all those thousands of people right there in the entertainment center in Arlington. But I'm glad they're doing it there. That's where the parade ought to be. Mm-hmm. To hell with downtown Dallas. And so you do it in Arlington where the team is. Cowboys ever win a Super Bowl? I doubt that will happen. Not in my lifetime. But I said the same thing about the Rangers. But I hope Jerry has his parade right there in Arlington too, if that ever happens.
Randy Galloway.
Yeah.
Sorry, Randy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was just mumbling. Go ahead.
Randy Galloway here on The Fan. Tell us what you loved about this Ranger team and this Ranger run? What did you particularly fall in love with while they were making history and getting this done?
From the start, when the season started, I went, boy, if they could win 81 games, if this could be a 500 team, it would be really a successful season. And then things started building, and my God, there are 20 games over 500 and 23 games over 500 in August, and it was hard to believe. And then, of course, the drop came, and you watched it all unfold. And, of course, everybody knows about the last game of the season, the cross-country flight to Tampa, Seattle to Tampa, and all that. But through it all, Bruce Bochy, because I'm a firm believer, and I know baseball has gone to the geeks, and most general managers, they want to make out the lineup card, a general manager or somebody up there in geek land setting up in the press box. Or in their deep offices, and they want to make out the lineup card. They want to tell which pitchers can go tonight, this, and this. But I'm still a firm believer that baseball is about baseball people and always has been. And I salute Chris Young. I knew Chris when he pitched here for the Rangers, and loved Chris. And I was really pleased when the Rangers hired him. And then, of course, knowing that eventually he would take this team over. And the first thing he did is go get a baseball guy. Now, hey, Chris Young's an Ivy Leaguer. He could be a geek. And I'm sure he knows all about he knows all about the analytical stuff, all that crap. But he put a baseball man in charge of a baseball team. Mike Maddox, the pitching coach, same way. How about the juggling act he had all season? He's the same way. Sure, he's got all the analytical stuff right there before him, but he's a baseball guy, and that's what happened with the Rangers. Baseball guys took over the team, and I don't know Bruce Bochy. Back in 2010, I was in some interview sessions with him, but I've never met him, never been around him, but God, I'm inspired by him. And guys, here's what I like. You read quotes from players on this team, and you guys have been doing this for a long time. If you're in the sports, if a player's talking about a coach or a manager, he's you can pick up on how sincere they are, what kind of respect they have for the guy, and you can just read the paper. Read the internet, you can kind of pick up on it. But, man, you read the quotes, these players talking about Bochy, that tells you everything you need to know. I mean, the respect factor and the love. The respect and love for this guy and admiration, I mean, it's all there. So I would say, with everything that's going on, that's the Bochy thing. I hope now he just doesn't retire and go back to Tennessee. won another world championship. I hope he stays around a few years.
Well, you mentioned Bochy. Where do you have him? Where does this put him in the all-time manager discussion? I'm sure he's now in the discussion of all-time best manager or all-time great, especially of last half century. Where do you have him?
Hell, I got him right at the top. The Rangers won the damn World Series. He's the best manager ever in the history of baseball. And, that's hard to say. How good really, and Joe Torre's the greatest guy in the world. But, I mean, with all those Yankee teams, was that Joe or was that just immense amount of talent? So with so many managers, you don't know. Like in 72, the Rangers start, Ted Williams comes in as manager. The first three managers I covered, and it was in 3 years. And I've got the greatest trifecta in the world because the first three managers I covered were Ted Williams, Whitey Herzog, and Billy Martin. Ooh, wow. Now I'll put that up against anybody. And again, you learn a lot in dealing with guys like that. And I loved every one of them. Man, I liked covering those teams mainly because of those guys. And then you go. I think Whitey probably turned out to be the greatest manager that the Rangers ever had, and they fired Bob Short, fired him before his first season was over. But what he went on to do is amazing. And the job Ron Washington did there's another guy. And I think he was hired by Jon Daniels because I think Daniels thought, well, I can control the team. This is an old guy. He'd just be glad to have the job. And Ron tricked him. Ron didn't want to hear that crap. And he wanted to be the manager, and he had some outstanding results too. But the Bochy factor, I put him as the greatest ever. The greatest who ever lived. The Rangers have won the World Series.
Yes, they have. Randy Galloway joins us here, 105 through the Fan. Okay, you mentioned JD. Like, how much credit should Jon get for this team? He did make some of the moves that put this team together.
Sure, and I don't give him a lot of credit.
You just said sure.
He wouldn't have hired Bochy. You think Bruce Bochy's not going to work? Bruce Bochy's not going to work for Jon Daniels, nor would Jon Daniels want Bruce Bochy here. He's going to hire somebody we never heard of and bring him in so he could control him, the geek control. And that's so no, and I know, hey, here's what I've never heard of. And I'm talking to a lot of baseball people on this. I've never heard of a general manager that could survive 6 straight losing seasons and not lose his job. That was impossible. Now, finally, at the end of the 6th losing season, the owner wakes up wherever he'd been sleeping, and the owner wakes up and fires him. Fires his manager, fires Jon Daniels' manager, and then fires Jon himself. Yeah, but when you're that bad, that long, you're going to get great draft picks. You're going to pick up some players off the junk heap. And they did, by the way, did a pretty good job of that. And I'm glad to see, some people in the organization hit on some draft picks. And it looks like they've got some more coming with this Langford kid. We'll see what happens with him. But, okay, give him a little credit. But let's don't get carried away on Jon Daniels, okay, please.
Randy, should the Metroplex fully embrace and fully forgive Nelson Cruz now?
Sure, and I've done that. And you know what? I love Nelly so much. What a great guy. By the way, just retired. You guys know
Yeah.
Retired yesterday, 19 years in the game. I didn't blame him that much, but yeah, I probably did. Come to think of it, I forgive him, and I think everybody should. And I think the hoodoo voodoo wrapped around Game 6, it was in my brain. I mean, I'm sitting there in St. Louis that night. I have a column written that they had won the World Series. Of course, you're on deadline, and then you're banging on the computer, and I had that column written, and then it blows up, but. The ones you have to go to the one strike away twice column, but I knew then that they got no chance in Game 7. The way that Game 6 unfolded, but I mean that hoodoo voodoo wrapped itself around my brain, and I went, forget it. This team is in some kind of evil spirit, and we'll never see a world championship, and then 12 years later, God, here it is. I mean, a world championship. So, yeah, all that hoodoo voodoo is gone now. Thank goodness. And I'm just going to rejoice over everybody. I forgive Jon Daniels. I forgive.
All right, last one. Do you think that this wakes up Jerry Jones? Does this make Jerry change some way? Is Jerry envious? Is he bitter? Is he happy? Is he jealous? What effect will this championship right outside of his stadium have on Jerry Jones?
You know, they should let Jerry ride in the parade. He could get a good look at this. No, I'm just, you know, I think Jerry is happy as hell for the Rangers. I think that's the way Jerry is. Mark Cuban, I don't know. He may be a bit jealous, but I think Jerry is happy for the Rangers, and let us hope that it inspires him. Let us hope it inspires his quarterback. Let's get some inspiration for Dak and maybe a few other people, and that bring the Cowboys one of these things too. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
It would. And Randy, before we let you go, everybody on the fan text here is asking for one: cows lose, cows stink.
Cows lose, cows stink.
There we go. Randy Galloway, man, it's just making this moment even better to hear your voice. So many Tolos are reminiscing. Love having you back on. Thank you so much for the time, man, and enjoy today because you've been sitting there longer than anyone waiting for it.
Yeah, I know it. I'll be watching on TV. You guys have fun. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. The legend,
Thank you, Randy
Galloway on the Boomer Jacks Bar and Grill Hotline.